Gruesome Magazine.
I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back with me once again are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-host on the net. And tonight we are counting down our best horror films of 2020. Finally getting to this. What a bizarre, strange year. We do it? Do we skip it? What happens? What do we do? No, we're doing it. We're going to count down streaming. Horror was picked up the slack, if you will, and gave us a whole bunch of films. We also had TV shows, which some of us will be picking those. Some great stuff to talk about for 2020, and look back at the most bizarre year in recent memory. Good God! But let me introduce the crew. Joining us tonight is the award-winning filmmaker Christopher Jeff-Mohr. I'm laughing at what Jeff's doing. I have no idea what's going on.
He's trying to get his selfie lick on.
Like, what's wrong?
Yep.
He's trying to get his ring light just right so he can do the little duck face.
No, it was. I knew it wasn't right.
Nice.
So.
He's gonna look all nice and cute for his top 10.
Yeah.
Like all of us.
I feel like that's a personal dig.
Oh no!
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man, off the rails right out of the gate, guys. All right, podcasting rock star and international cosplay queen Vanessa Thompson is here. Yay! How you
Yay
doing?
for me.
Yay for me. And to nobody's surprise, because you've already heard it, special guest host, and he's off camera, so this is a great time to introduce him. The one and only Jeff-Mohr.
How many chairs?
I'm just trying to crap over all over the place.
It's just like
I thought I had everything straightened out, but obviously not. I'm a
Screw
mess.
it, we'll do it live.
Greetings. I'm glad you
10.
did this, Doc, because I haven't had a chance to come up with a top 10 yet, so you forced me into it.
This isn't top 10 screwball comedies, Jeff. Just letting you know.
Captain Chaos here is what it is. All
I
right.
thought this was the Three Stooges meet
Whoop,
Chris
whoop.
Moore, Vanessa.
Albert Costello meet the Grue-Crew. This is going to be fun. We're going to basically, what we're going to do is we're each going to take turns going through our top 10. We're going to go 10 to 1 or 7 to 1 in one case, which is fine. We're just going to talk about them. And then we're going to have like a group discussion about each one of those. And then at the end, we might, time permitting, we'll talk about those films we missed or those that are honorable mentions, because even though we really didn't have a theatrical year, it stopped in March and didn't really ever come back for 2020, even though some films kind of did. We still had so much streaming films, and they were often incredible. It was a really interesting year for the Gruesome Magazine podcast, which is one of the reasons Jeff is here. And what are you? Let's just dive into it. So let's get started, because I can just ramble on about how weird 2020 was for 30 minutes.
2020's over, so let's
I know.
put a
Leave
cap
it in
on
the
it
past.
and give us the highlights of 2020.
Let's wrap it up in a pretty bow, shall we? All
I
right.
couldn't even think about it until after his birthday. It was.
This won't go there. All right, Vanessa, you are up first. What is your top 10? In this case, 7.
Yes, I have 7. I didn't get to catch as many as I would have liked last year because 2020 was awful. And I didn't really pay for that much last year. There was so much streaming for free that I tried to catch as much as I could that was free. So I split mine. I have 4 movies and 3 series that came out. Yeah. So movies first. The first one feels like it came out 20 years ago. Underwater. I can't believe we saw that in January 2020. I cannot believe it. But wow, what a great movie. And I mean, finally, we get to see a big ass Cthulhu. That was so cool. Big ass. Another favorite of mine this year was Gretel and Hansel. I think that got slept on a little bit, but I really enjoyed that one. I enjoyed the kind of modern spin on it. I enjoyed that it was a kind of a feminist take on the movie. And I just think the cinematography in that was beautiful, and the take on our wicked witch, our evil witch, was so cool and different. Honestly, I'd love to see more in that universe, which I think, from what I was remembering, we might actually get to do. Next, which I really want to see more in this universe, is Color Out of Space.
Ooh,
wow. Nice. Blew me away. And it's all been a part of this Nick Cage-assance that's coming around that I'm really enjoying. But I mean, for as crazy as 2020 was, we did get some really awesome Lovecraftian content, and Underwater and Color Out of Space were just such great examples of that. And lastly, as far as movies, and one I just actually saw, is Antebellum. Ooh. I really loved that. I remember we talked about it, and it was one of my most anticipated. I think right outside of Ghostbusters was Antebellum as far as my most anticipated. And since it just started streaming for free on Hulu, we caught it. We reviewed it, so you can go back and check that if you like. But wow, what a phenomenal movie. And these movies, the first three are very fantastical, and Antebellum, it does have fantastical elements about it, but it's grounded more in reality. And I think that is a good way to round out 2020 as far as movies for me goes, to describe that year for me. And then the last three that I have are the series. And wow, they just blew it out of the water. Bly Manor, amazing.
Yes.
Amazing on so many levels. Not least of all, I should say, is that it's a freaking lesbian love story at the end of the day. And that was just so absolutely beautiful to do that at the end of that show. Secondly, What We Do in the Shadows season 2.
Oh, right.
I needed those laughs. I absolutely needed those laughs. And I cannot wait for the next season. It was so funny and genuine, and really just took your mind off of things. And lastly, probably my favorite thing to come out of 2020 is Lovecraft Country from HBO Max. Wow. I felt things that I haven't felt in a long time. I saw things that I haven't seen. Concepts were just exploded before us. Just the stories, the literature, the cinematic history that they portrayed, the history of our nation that they portrayed in that show was just so beautifully well done. And Misha Green should really be getting, I think, more kudos than what she has been, or I've seen so far, because she just was absolutely phenomenal in what she did with that show. So 2020 wasn't the best of years for us, but we got a handful of really, really great shows, and some that I think are really going to make a lasting impression.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you were able to include some of the TV shows, because like we said, most everything we saw this year was on streaming in some form. Streaming has blown up. It just blew up, and it was going to blow up anyway, right? Because we got Disney Plus, we had HBO Max, we had all these other things. Quibi, well, we'll throw that one away.
Poor Quibi.
Yeah. So I appreciate you adding those. Although I am surprised The Invisible Man didn't make it, but that's a different story.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh well, shit.
I know, right? I don't know. There was so many mixed feelings that came out around that time, and I was like, I don't know if I don't want to be disappointed. But then again, I saw the 90s or early 2000s Invisible Man, so there's not very far to fall as far as disappointment goes.
Oh man. Anybody else want to add anything for Vanessa's top 10-ish?
No, she's got some really good picks there, and I think I think also, pointing out some of the TV stuff, there's some, I think some of the strongest horror stuff has been in TV. I mean, we're seeing some great stuff with was it 30 Coins that just came out this year. and I'm sure that'll
Absolutely.
be something we'll be talking about a lot. But I mean, even other shows, like I just watched the show Evil not too long ago, which is actually not, I thought it would be some kind of stupid show, but it's got some really interesting things on it, you know, where you have like a priest who's trying to debunk stuff, you know, but then there's all this other supernatural stuff happening. So, but yeah, Bly Manor was great. I mean, they really
I have one last thing to add before I forget. Sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No worries.
One of my favorite things about last year was covering the Hannibal series. Now, I know that didn't come out in 2020, but us revisiting it now that it dropped on Netflix was such a highlight of my year, and it's such a wonderful show. And if you guys want to go back and check out our reviews on that, you should, because they're all there. And honestly, this is just a little slight earworm to hopefully we'll pick up season 2 soon.
Yes, we need to consider that seed planted.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher, it is your turn, sir. What is your best of 2020?
None.
None.
Yeah. Well, a good mixture of stuff, and I'll start from 10 and go down to 1. My 10th film is Leap of Faith, William Friedkin on The Exorcist.
Nice.
One of my favorite documentaries that I've seen in a very long time. I love documentaries about like Hollywood, about movie making and all that kind of stuff. But this one is like almost like a film analysis of how this film came to be. And as a filmmaker, it just like all those little intricate details from like his inspiration when it came to like artwork, when it came to lighting, you know, and how certain actors, you know, were originally cast, and you know, how that came to be, and just how certain scenarios came about when it came to bringing out the best in actors. So there's like so many really wonderful things that it's funny that like you won't catch me watch Exorcist anytime soon. I can't watch the film. The film scares me too much. It's one of the few films that I can't watch because it gives me nightmares. But the documentary I don't mind watching. This documentary just had me from beginning to end, and I could watch it a million times because it's kind of brilliant how just all the right things came together to make this film, and a lot of it just came to be because of all the great people that are involved with it. Let's see. Number 9 is Host, which I was like kind of late to the game in watching this film because I was like, wasn't really sure, because I mean things like Unfriended I am not a big fan of. I hate those films, even though I think they do a great job of like kind of keeping your interest when it comes to looking at a computer screen. But I think Host, I'm kind of upset because I had a similar idea that I wanted to do, and I think they kind of pulled it off a whole lot better probably than what I could, and they did it during the pandemic of all things. It is really well done, well crafted, and I think a lot of it has to do with just getting some really great actors to sort of like, you know, interact with each other and really planning everything out. I mean, they still had some stuff that didn't really require, you know, it actually required a little bit of stunt work and stuff with certain scenes. So yeah, and it was kind of creepy. It kind of, you know, kind of add a creepier aspect to using Zoom anytime soon. So and you know me, any kind of like Ouija board or any of that kind of stuff. Don't be doing seances over Zoom. Just don't do it. Number 8. This is a last minute film I watched recently that I really loved, and it's Sputnik. The creature in that film is amazing. To me, it's up there with some of the best sci-fi creatures in film, because you believe that the thing is real, and at the same time you're scared as hell of it. And I think the cinematography in that movie is amazing. It's a Russian film, and it's very suspenseful. I mean, it's, even though I'm watching in my living room, I'm yelling at the characters like, "Don't go up to that glass! What are you doing going into that room, you idiot?" But I really loved how the story played out, and it had so many really interesting things that I hadn't really seen in sort of like these sci-fi horror things, and I think it's I think it sort of stands with a lot of those great sci-fi horror films like Aliens and that kind of thing.
You said
so
it was Russian? I hadn't heard of it.
Yes, it's a Russian film. It's Sputnik. It's actually on Hulu. You can
Okay.
watch it free on Hulu, and it's
Cool.
it's really brilliant. It's well crafted film with some really great special effects involving this alien that like chomps on your brain. So why does my phone keep shutting off? Okay, number 7, The Invisible Man. This film makes me really look forward to see what they do with the other Universal properties, because Lee Winnell, who I think is a really talented filmmaker and director, his film Upgrade I thought was really great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Invisible Man, he took probably, I think to me, probably one of the weaker Universal properties, and added a contemporary theme to it that works really well, because not only does it sort of like make you actually scared of the Invisible Man, but it also plays into those aspects of like how someone can be threatening to you and gaslight you, by being invisible. So it's really a brilliant film that takes that idea and puts a contemporary spin on it that makes you like, oh, I hate this guy so much. And there's some really terrifying moments. And there's one moment that's like one of the most shocking things I've seen. Well, at the time, it was the only movie I saw in the theater about. But one of the most shocking scenes I've ever seen in a movie theater, just making my jaw drop. So it's really great. I now own it on Blu-ray. So
Nice.
the next film is Followed. I think if you go watch a review on Horror News Radio, I love this film a lot. And I think it's a nice companion piece to that documentary they just put on Netflix about the Cecil Hotel. Elisa Lamb, I think her name is.
I just watched the first episode of that.
And Followed is definitely inspired by that, where you have this guy who has he's one of those jerky YouTube personalities who decides to see if this local hotel is haunted, and then some freaky shit happens, and then there was several parts that made me jump and kind of freaked me out. And
I saw that too. Yeah.
But I love that film, and I definitely champion those filmmakers, because I mean, I'm not as big a fan of found footage stuff as Doc is, but I really love this film a lot, and I really hope more people get to see it. I think it's on one of the streaming services, I think, for free right now. Number 5, Underwater. Definitely agree with Vanessa when that was a great film to see on the big screen.
Yes, it was.
Especially when that big ass moment, the big ass thick Cthulhu shows up in Underwater. And the creature designs in that film are really wonderful. And it's definitely aliens underwater, and it's got some really wonderful moments, freaky moments, atmospheric moments. Really well done, especially when they do some of those segments were done. The underwater stuff was done dry, so just to create that in a dry environment blows my mind. Number 4, His House.
Nice,
brilliant film that is a different take on the haunted house genre, told in a totally different environment, and has the actress from Lovecraft Country's in it, about this couple that sort of like has left their country and came to like England or whatever. Is it England?
It's England. Yep.
Okay. And they because they're immigrants, they have to like stay in this house for a certain period of time. So it's one of those things where they can't leave their house, otherwise they'll be sent back to their country. And they're the supernatural aspects are freaky, but it also has a thematic stuff involving, this couple, and it deals with a lot of topics that you don't normally see in these type of things. So it's really well done, well crafted film. That's a little bit more dramatic than a lot of these films are. Number 3, Color Out of Space. I'm getting to the point now where I'll watch Nick Cage in anything. I just saw Willy's Wonderland recently, and I love the hell out of that film, and it's mainly because of him. It's not a really well done film, but and in this one, you have him doing his batshit crazy type character, and in dealing with H.P. Lovecraft type stuff at the same time. The visuals in this film are great. The cinematography, it has moments that are up there with The Thing when it comes to the freakiness of certain scenarios. It just makes me look forward to seeing what the director who did this is actually working on another Lovecraft project. I'm kind of excited to see what he does next. Number 2, The Mortuary Collection.
Yes.
Probably one of my favorite anthologies
really
ever, I would say. It's up there with like Creepshow. I think it not only does it have really wonderful little segments, even the bookending big story works well too. And I'd love to see him do another one of these if he can. I mean, all the individual stories are wonderful.
Is that on Shudder?
Yeah, it's on Shudder. Is that Ryan Spindell? Is that the guy who directed it?
Yep, Ryan Spindell.
Okay. Ryan Spindell is amazing. Didn't he also do that segment of 50 States of Fright? Is that the same guy?
It could be.
I
Can we look it up and see?
Yeah, look up for that. But this. I mean, it's
Yes.
Ryan Spindell is amazing, and he's up there as one of the directors that I really want to continue to watch anything he makes. I think he has that sort of like visual style that's he almost like, I know he's a big fan of Sam Raimi and Evil Dead, so you can see that in a lot of his projects. But yeah, this one, all the individual segments are different and interesting. I love the guy, the frat guy. That episode, it is, great, and you get to see something explode. You don't normally get to see explode in movies. So yeah, I loved Mortuary Collection. And my number 1, me, I'm a huge fan of horror comedies. And Freaky.
Oh my!
I paid $19.99 to rent that film. At that time I couldn't get enough courage to go to the theater to watch it, but I really wanted to see it. And I loved the hell out of this film. And it won't happen, but I really wish Vince Vaughn would get nominated for an Oscar.
Oh wow!
For his role in this film, because him having to portray being inhabited by a teenage girl is the funniest thing I've ever seen. But he commits 110%, and the comedy in this is great. The kills are better than a lot of Jason movies. They're very thought out. And the humor in this is so freaking funny. I mean, it's by the guy who did Happy Death Day.
Okay.
So it has that sense of humor about it. And I mean, the teenage friends, there's like a black girl, and there's like the gay best friend, and they're just hilarious. But yeah, this film had me from beginning to end. I kind of hope that they do another one, but it's so freaking funny. I laughed so much, and it just really made me appreciate that Vince Vaughn is really needs more appreciation for this type of role. Comedy roles don't get a lot of love a lot of times. I don't really think that you have, but it takes a lot to really pull off a character, and to be this guy who's like 6'10" or however tall he is, and he's trying to play this teenage girl, and then at the same time the girl that plays the teenage girl is having to be this sort of like crazy psycho killer, and you get to see all these different bully moments in this high school that you get to sort of see her kill people that kind of like okay, I'm okay with her killing that person. So yeah, I hope it gets down to a level where it's either on a free streaming or you can rent it, because it's definitely worth a watch. It's one of my favorite films I've seen in the last year, and it's so funny, and if you like horror comedies, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest disappointment of last year is not being able to see that or not taking the opportunity to go see it.
Me too.
Or paying the money to go see it, or to see it online like you did. But eventually I will. Yeah, a lot of your stuff is really cool because it's a lot of things that ended up on my top 20, but not in my top 10.
Oh, gotcha.
His house.
Oh no.
Oh no, his house especially. I really enjoyed.
I loved his house. Yeah, I mean it's it's definitely much more of your dramatic horror takes that I guess because the subject matter it's totally different. But you got to embrace that because we want to tell when it comes to horror, you want to see horror in different locations, different types of people. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same white couple living in the suburbs.
Yes.
And I love that. I really want stories by different filmmakers telling different stories so that we can see that. And because it's your traditional haunted house film, but totally a different way. And it works so well.
Yeah. And some really haunting imagery.
Oh, it's got some freaky stuff. Yeah.
Especially with the wall things, whatever. Yeah. The people in that room. Oh my God.
I have to say, I stopped sleeping on Vince Vaughn after we watched Cell Block 99. His performance in that, like, I always thought he was hilarious. He's always been great as a comedy actor, but that was like, oh man, he can actually act. He can actually switch and change characters. So I'm really disappointed I missed Freaky and the Mortuary Collection. I still need to catch both of those.
Definitely worth catching. Yes. All right, let's move on. Jeff-Mohr, sir. I'm glad you made made through the blip there. What is your top 10?
It ain't over yet.
What's your best of 2020, sir?
So I'm going to do this. I have a hard time doing the top 10. So for me, I'm going to do it my own way. So
You do it.
My top movie, without a doubt, is Relic.
Relic, nice.
That thing beat the crap out of me, and I haven't been able. We did it on GM, and I bought the Blu-ray, and I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Oh my!
Just because of the impact on it, I'm not ready for it. So I'm not going to say that's true for everybody because I don't think anybody else had as big an impact, as big a thing on it. Reaction to it as I did, but it was had to do with life, I guess, for me. And that's directed by Natalie Erica James, and it's about a mother who's moving into dementia, and a couple of the daughters I think are there to try to, or a daughter and a granddaughter are there to try to take care of her, and there's just a whole lot of metaphors and symbolism in there that hit me really hard, I think. The next two, I'm going to tie these two.
Sure.
Because I would have the first one is The Color Out of Space, or Color Out of Space.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see Richard Stanley make a comeback, and I can't wait for the next one of his Lovecraft movies. Just as you said, and I wish I don't remember the actress that played the daughter, but she was awesome too. She was excellent. And I bought this summer, I don't know if it had anything to do with the pandemic or not, but I bought a big screen 4K television. It's my first one like that, and I bought Color Out of Space in 4K, and that is friggin' awesome.
Nice.
Sometimes I watched a couple of 4K ones where I'm kind of like going, well, they didn't really do anything with that, but wow, the colors and everything that's going on in that movie are definitely worth it. And that's tied with The Dark and the Wicked by Brian Bertino. That one probably scared me the most of any movie this year. Well, almost. We'll put that there. We'll bring that up again. But I love Brian Bertino. Loved, I believe his last one was The Monster, which I liked a whole lot too. So it's just it fits my little cubby hole of extremely dark and atmospheric and creepy as hell, and with genuine scares in it. Next up is Possessor. I'm going to put it in last year. I watched it last year. I paid for it because I wanted to watch it before the end of the year. It's just awesome. And I'm not going to say too much about that. Oh, wait, I guess I do because Chris didn't talk about it. Brandon Cronenberg, it's brilliant. The story is brilliant. The way it's told is excellent. The acting is excellent. And it's got a great play off of, it's got a great kind of science fiction foundation. So, and it's also very disturbing. I guess I like disturbing films. So after that is The Vast of Night, which I thought was excellent. And I'm glad I'm bringing that up because I know Dave absolutely loved it.
Yes,
and since he couldn't be here, I can back that up. And I know Joseph Perry loved it too. So, and I just love the way it's shot. I love the way the story told. I love the feel of it. It just kind of had that 50s Twilight Zone. I don't know. And they did a lot of really interesting, really long takes and then ones that maybe they weren't as long a take, but they were very close to being a long take with very minor cuts in them. And the acting was excellent. That was Andrew Patterson was the director. Next up, La Llorona, which I liked better than everybody else on the Grue-Crew. And so I went back and watched it again, and I liked it better. I watched that today.
Excellent.
And I liked it even better. And what I like is there's been a few other movies like that. Actually, Antebellum's maybe a little bit like that, in that they tie a historical, something of historical significance, actually a genocide in Guatemala, and tie that to a horror story or the legend of the Weeping Woman. Doesn't quite fit the way I've normally heard the story, but I think the cinematographer in this is incredible, and I just loved it again. I love the way the story is told. I know it was a little slow for Doc and Crystal, but I was never bored.
So
next one,
better than The Curse.
Way better than
much better. Yeah.
Way better.
Ingrown Toenail is better than that.
Oh.
Well,
it was, real quick, Jeff, before you continue, we should note that La Llorona is in the short running for Academy Award nomination for Best Foreign Picture.
Golden Globe. Well, it's also it's nominated for a Golden Globe for Best.
Is it nominated?
It's nominated for Best. I don't know if it's on the short list for the Academy, but it is nominated. The first Shudder film to be nominated for a Golden Globe.
Well, it was submitted to the Academy. So.
Yeah, I thought it was up for like Best Foreign Film or something like that. Or I thought I read something like that.
Well, it's the only one from that specific country that's. So they might be up for it.
It's the thing that I liked about it is and I know I'm going to say this name wrong. It's spelled J-Ro Bustamante, and I know it's not J-Ro. Maybe Yero or Hero. Hero. Maybe. Hydro. But anyway, he did a documentary on this same genocide that took place in the early 80s. And so this follows, we had some comments on our podcast too, and a couple people came on and said, this follows the actual case very closely, even down to some of the court, the dialogue in the court, the testimony was straight from the transcripts. They changed the general's name, but it's very, I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I love stuff like that ties into history and has that. It was atmospheric to all get out. Next up, The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And I saw that. You know what? I'm trying to think. I saw Color Out of Space in the theater. And I saw Invisible Man in the theater. And I've got another one coming up I saw in the theater. So Invisible Man, I'm not going to say too much about that, except great concept. Elizabeth Moss is awesome, and of course Lee Wanell. We've been leery of these dark universe things, and I know this is a switch. They've kind of branched off, took another, went down another road less traveled maybe, but this was so much better than what they've tried to do in the past that it does. And Christopher, Invisible Man is one of my favorite of the Universal ones. I absolutely love it. Next, Dreamland from Bruce McDonald.
Ooh, nice.
The guy that did Pontypool and Hellions, both of which I absolutely love, and this one I love too. And I can't describe it. It's like a dream. It's just bizarre. There's like this trumpet player and this weird hitman that are both played by Stephen McHattie, and then Henry Rollins is in it, and Juliette Lewis. And I loved the visuals. I loved the weirdness of it. I guess I just like whatever's inside Bruce McDonald's brain that he puts on screen in some of these movies. I am actually doing the numbers, I guess. Number 9 is Host. And I won't say too much about that, but I watched that again, and I'll tell you what, there's a heck of a lot packed into this. It's actually less than an hour long, and there's a hell of a lot of tension and scares in there. Very well done, and very easy to relate to because of the pandemic. And I love found footage. I got to go watch Followed. I don't know why I haven't seen that, but that's one I haven't seen. And number 10 is Gretel and Hansel.
Ooh,
again,
nice.
Because I love Oz Perkins, and
that's right.
And Sophia Lillis was Gretel from It, the woman, and was she in Stranger Things? Or
No.
She was in it. Anyway, she's been in some other stuff though too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, and I saw that in the theater too. So I went back and watched that today because I remember liking it a lot, and I went back and I liked it more this time. And like I always do every year, this could move any direction, up, down. I could switch them around, make it another day. Relic would still be number 1. Color Out of Space and The Dark and the Wicked would both be next. And after that, things could jump around quite a bit. But I think that's good. I loved what Chris and Vanessa said too. Underwater was another one I saw in the theater, and I don't know, that could have been on there. Loved Bly Manor. Started watching Lovecraft Company. I only saw I think I saw the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then I went, you know what? I want to binge this. And I was waiting. I was waiting until it was all done, and I haven't got back to it yet. So
it's something to get back to.
Very worth it.
Yep.
There's a lot on your list that could have made my list easily, and there's going to be a couple surprises on my list that I don't think you realize are on it. But yeah, great stuff. Because watched, I think, every single one of those as well.
Yeah, I think the cinematography in Hansel and Gretel is great, but I wasn't as big a fan as you guys were.
Maybe you need to watch it again. You might. If you watched it again.
Yeah. I don't want to watch
Alice
it.
Krieg too is brilliant.
I love that was a theme of your top 10 was when I watched it again, I loved it even more. I like that.
Yeah.
Although I
did hear again.
Originally I did have Possessor on mine, but I pulled it off because I want to see the unrated version to get a full grasp of it. I'm probably gonna. That's why I'll probably save it for 2021. It probably will be on my top 10. I love Possessor. I think it's brilliant. I think he's definitely walking in the footsteps of his dad, but creating his own path. The brilliant concept, great production design, but because I haven't seen the unrated version, I feel like I kind of missed out on the full potential of what is that, and I don't feel comfortable in basing it on the edited version. So
very good.
What's out there.
Yeah, you missed the penis shots and the gore. Right?
Yeah, the penis shots. Yeah, Hulu's got the uncut version, and it is it's striking. Some of the stuff I don't think is all that mind changing, but they're some of the ending, I think, was cut, and I think that's very important to the film.
So, the Soska sisters just remade a Cronenberg film, right?
Rabid.
Yep.
All right.
Rabid,
So, if y'all have seen that, who did it better? Who's followed in Cronenberg footsteps?
it's
Not the
Possessor's better.
Soskas.
Possessor's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I liked Rabbit. I had it on my top 10 last year, but
Ooh.
this Possessor's way better.
Yeah,
Okay, I still need to watch this one too. I haven't seen it yet.
Good question, though. All right, we'll go through my top 10. This is going to be a weird one, guys. Just prepare. All right, at number 10 is a film that is going to. I'm never going to forget watching this film. It is going to be stuck in my memory. It is a truly bizarre film, and it's called Fried Berry from director Ryan Kruger, starring Gary Green. And I absolutely love this movie. It is just. It's so weird. It's so, it just does things that you're totally unexpected. And Gary Green is a marvel to watch. He is so chaotic and spastic and fun to watch. And he embodies this character, this Fried Berry, and who's an alien. Basically, an alien comes down and inhabits a berry guy and tries to go through his life, and it's the most twisted, bizarre life that he inhabited, and it's just a really fun, wonky, bizarre film, and I recommend catching it. It's you may not have heard of it, but put it on your to watch list because it's something else. It is something else. I think Jeff will back me up on that at some point. Up at number 9 is Underwater. This is a January film. Of course, January 2020 does feel like 10 years ago, but January films historically have always been a mess. This one was absolutely awesome. The performances, the claustrophobia, the feeling the underwater, like you said, what they accomplished, the creatures, and then that beautiful ending with that, the big Cthulhu-y like creature just won me over. And Kristen Stewart is really great in the lead in this, really, kind of superhero-ish and without powers, right? Just kind of the hero in a great way. Director's William Eubank, and just announced this week that he's going to be handling the Paranormal Activity reboot. So I'm happy. But I'm the only one. But I'll take that. Because me and my found footage. We'll get
and Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity is like the cream of the crop.
What number are we up to here?
It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
It's starting over, so it doesn't matter.
It's 2.0.
Oh, okay.
2.0. All right, up next is a Spanish film called The Platform. Which is it's a 2019 film, but I saw it in 2020, came on Netflix, and it really, a lot of people saw it, but it didn't really get a lot of notice. But the concept is basically you go to this prison and you're in there for so many days, but you end up going from floor to floor to floor, but your food supply is on a platform that goes down all these stories. And the first people get the pick, and it's like a buffet of gourmet food. But by the time it gets down to halfway down the list, it's all scraps, and it just brings up all these interesting kind of social commentary about really hierarchy, right? It's how. The have and the have-nots, right? And what they'll do to have, and what the have-nots have to do to defend, or the haves have to do to defend what they have. And it just, and our lead character is really interesting. And there's other interesting characters that he encounters. I just really loved it, and it's a really interesting film, and I recommend watching it. The next film is a South Korean film called The Call. And I think I was the only one that really liked this movie, but it really ended up being one of my favorite films of the year. It's a woman goes to her house, and she ends up finding an old phone, and when it rings, and when she calls, and when whatever that happens, she ends up actually calling the past and affecting the past. And there's this weird connection between the person that she calls and herself, and it all unravels and changes things. And it's there's some really wonderful transitions when things start to change. There's really interesting reveals. What you think is, saving somebody is actually unleashing something that you wish you hadn't. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. It's really well done, and I loved it. And I'm a sucker for Asian films anyway. So. Up next on my list, I think we are at number 6. Is this? It's okay. So this is probably outside of my number 2. This is the one that's least horror film, but at the same time, it has some great graphic kills. It's a great revenge flick. It has a great bad guy, somebody you don't expect to be a bad guy, and it's Becky. Lulu Wilson plays. Lulu Wilson plays Becky, and Kevin James plays the bad guy, and Joel McHale's in this as her father, and it blew me away. I just really, really thoroughly enjoyed the story and the character, the resilience, I think when you get these two characters, when you get the Lulu Wilson as Becky and you get Kevin James as the bad guy whose name I can't remember, but when they're confronting each other, the dialogue, and it's just, man, it was electric, and really enjoy. And it has some pretty gory scenes in it too. Fun stuff. Watch it. Up next is up next is the first of 2 anthology films on my list. But this one is Scare Package. Scare Package has a number of different directors in it, but I really enjoy anthology films. A lot of times, though, they succeed or fail on how consistent they are, right? And the good thing about the 2 anthology films I'm going to mention is both of them are consistent. Each of the stories has really fun things that happens in them. This one bounced up and down the list. It never made it above number 5, but when it came down to it, I just ended up pairing these 2. So it kind of hitchhiked on the next one, which is Mortuary Collection that Christopher mentioned, and it is by far superior to this one. And it because the wraparound story is so brilliant with the Mortuary Story. But these 2 films are, if you love anthology films, these 2 films are it this year. At number 3, The Invisible Man. Yes, you should see it, Vanessa. The Invisible Man. It came with a little bit of a shade on it, right? Because of the dark universe, so what was going to happen. But we knew the director. We liked the trailer was really promising, and the movie delivered. There is an incredibly scary, shocking scene, and I think, Christopher, you and I are talking about the same scene. It may or may not happen at a dinner table, at a diner, but or a restaurant. But it's a really interesting take on what a modern Invisible Man would be, as opposed to the classic H.G. Wells, where it's did I get that right? It's H.G. Wells, right? The classic where
yes, you did.
It's the potion, right? Instead, the old standby potion thing, and now it's more technology, and it really works. And the psychology of it is it really makes it stand above other attempts that we've had. And there's been some good ones and some cheesy ones, but there haven't been any great ones. And this one is a great one. So at number 2, and Jeff may be very surprised by this, but it's Vast of Night. Vast of Night. Primarily, this is at my number 2 because of the shots you were describing. The characters are the second part, because the 2 main characters are the chemistry between the 2 is so strong. The dialogue is witty, back and forth, and the story that they get involved in, they because of these 2 characters, you get sucked in. But the camera work, oh my God, this director, it's just I was astonished and amazed and blown away by these shots. There's a number of them. There's one at the beginning that goes through town and goes all the way into like the school auditorium, right? No, not the I guess and
to
the gym, and it's an amazing shot, and it's telling a story along the way, and it's amazing. And then the characters will run and you'll follow them, and I don't know, the way this film is structured, it's structured like it feels like a cross between a 50s sci-fi film and an actual radio play, right? Because it's a really interesting structure that feels retro in a way, but yet the technique in which they handled it is very modernized. So I love the film. I really did. It made a significant impression on me. At number one, and most people that know me are not going to be surprised by this, but it's Host. Host. I thought, okay, so this came out of nowhere, and it was like, oh, this is going to be, it's going to be pandemic based. Holy crap. Christopher's right. It's so scary. Because of there's just some great techniques in here. All the actors really got into it, and you get to know them over this Skype meeting or this Zoom meeting, and it's just the way they presented the scares of it really worked, because strangely enough, what I was kind of, about is what actually made it work. We were all on Zoom meetings, right? We're all doing Zoom meetings. We're all at home. We can all relate. So great timing, great picking this up. It's kind of found. I mean, it is, I would call it found footage, but it's more, what is it? The screen thingy that they call like,
Unfriended.
Yeah. Like Unfriended. And, what's the other one? Searching. Right. So, but those are
found bits.
Yeah, those are found footage ish. But I loved it. It made me jump, and it's I'm just going to end it right there. I absolutely adored that movie, and I can't wait to see what this guy cooks up next. And I should say his name instead of just say this guy. Let's say Rob Savage.
Yeah, really well crafted film, I mean, and he hit it at the right moment, because to make something during the pandemic and for it to be just as impactful, and now everybody and their mothers trying to make their little Zoom properties, and actually I saw like he did a little parody thing that helped to sell it, which I saw.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because he actually got everybody on the Zoom, and he said, I hear something in the attic or whatever, and then when he goes up there, he did a scene from like Wreck or something, and scared the crap out of him. And because it went over so well, he's like, I should do like a full length feature. And I think when you look at, I mean, as a filmmaker, I'm like, oh man, he's got to plan this out, and there's moments where you're just looking at the screen to see if there's stuff moving, waiting for something to happen, and that atmospheric aspect of it just gets you like, crazy. But Scare Package was something I considered to be my top 10, but to me, it's not as strong as Mortuary Collection. I think it's one of those films where some shorts are better than others. Mm-hmm. Like Chris McEnroy did the melting guy bit, which is in itself is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He did it. He's done like some other great shorts. This movie called Death Metal he made. Yeah. And I Summoned a Demon. He is like, I want to make horror comedies on that level. I feel like I felt like I want to tap into that sort of like, it's almost like Dead Alive, his sort of like horror comedy where he like embraces the gore and has fun with it. And Chris McElroy, his segment like steps, it really works, but another segments don't work so well. And even the bookend stuff is kind of up and down. And just because you throw, what's his name? From Shudder, Joe
Oh,
Bob Briggs
oh,
does it, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's some great kills and stuff in it. But yeah, Scare Package definitely would have been on one of my. It was on the outer skirts of my top 10.
Anybody else?
I had several that were right on the edge. Were 12-Hour Shift with Angela Bettis, and Hunter x Hunter. I thought was a good film as well, with a just crazy, violent, nutso ending. May the Devil Take You Too. I'm kind of surprised I didn't show up on
Christopher's.
Oh man, how did I not?
Christopher's.
I completely forgot.
And then there's one I haven't really heard anybody really talking about it. I don't know if you guys ever reviewed it, but The Devil All the Time. It was a movie on it debuted on streaming and starred like Bill Skarsgård was one of them, and Tom Holland. I liked that a lot. It was just a long winding trail back and forth and involved some sort of supernatural thing going on.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we could have, like Yummy. You remember Yummy? Yummy could have made it. One of my favorite ones of the year, but I didn't think it was horror enough to include, was Why Don't You Just Die?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say Guns Akimbo. That was another really good one.
That might be like number 11 on mine. So
I'm kind of upset that I completely forgot about May the Devil Take You Too. I'm kind of pissed at myself because that probably would have got in my top 10. Some other ones I looked at were The Lodge.
Yes, I like that.
I never saw that one either.
#Alive I thought was really good.
Yeah, that was good too. Oh man, I forgot about that one.
Vampires versus the Bronx was actually fun. Babysitter. I'm probably the only ones that really liked it, but I really like Babysitter Killer Queen. That just hit me at the right time. There's a lot of people that for some reason don't like that film, but that just the level of goofy horror comedy aspect. And also I kind of like Death to Me. There's not a lot of people have probably seen that, but I kind of enjoyed Death to Me. So those are the ones that I kind of considered, but
I retroactively add Vampires versus the Bronx.
Oh, nice.
I forgot about that, and that is a fantastic.
Well, see, that's 2020 for you. It's rearranged our brains.
To where we can't remember when I watched it,
what we saw at what time.
That's
did I watch that in 2019? So yeah. So 10.5. May the Devil Take You Too.
There you go.
Well, the ones that you guys had that I thought about too was a lot of the underwater. Fried Berry, I thought about that one, Doc. That's an amazing movie. But also Sputnik, Becky. I might have put that on there if I don't. I wanted to watch it again, but I didn't. The Platform I also had thought about.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of films like kind of like Platform. I had heard so many things about it. I'm not sure if I'm in the right mood to watch it, so I never got around to watching it. And Becky, I really wanted to see because I actually have a filmmaker friend from North Carolina who actually worked on that film.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And
I
he
think
was
it's
talking
like $2 now.
It was playing at the drive-ins and was actually in the top 10 in the box office wise for a little while there. And he was telling us about it before it came out. And now I'm kind of like, I feel like an idiot that support it and go watch it because it looks really good. And I've heard it's got some really good gory stuff in it.
Oh, it does. There's a head smashing. Yeah.
A real life.
We saw a lot of good stuff. Some that stuck in my mind, but I didn't think about for top 10 though, were the Beach House. Remember that one, Doc? The weird one with some, and then Sea Fever was the other one, where they were out on this boat. Yeah, anyway,
I like Sea Fever.
Interesting.
The ending Sea Fever kind of made me not really even consider it, but I thought the build up in Sea Fever was really good because I'd heard good things about it, but the ending kind of knocked it away from me.
I think I'm real sad that I think Freaky would have made my list if I had the chance. We'll see if maybe I'll put it in my 2021 because we'll eventually get to see it.
Spontaneous was another one I kind of wish I'd been able to see because I might have been in there because of the horror comedy aspect of it. Although some people even don't consider it as horror.
Yeah,
Although it
Dave
does have
really,
people exploding. So
Dave really loved that. Dave absolutely loved it. So he was surprised by it. I think it might have been in his top 10. All right. Well, I think we've wrapped this up. We're just under an hour, so I think we should end it here. If you've been listening this long, I just want to say thank you. We really appreciate you watching the videos or listening to us on the podcast. If you would like to support us, it's really easy to do and it's free. All you have to do is subscribe or share with a friend. Both of those things are really awesome and do great things for us. If you want to get a little bit more invested, you can hit the like button or you can leave some comments. I'd love to hear, what film did we forget? Which one film that you liked that we forgot? There's tons out there. I think my list was at like 250 when the ones I sent out. We a lot of them are crap. I'm just saying. But there's a lot of good ones this year too, this past year. So yeah, do that. We also want to take a moment to thank our patrons over at Patreon, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to do not only Horror News Radio, but Decades of Horror, the Heroes and Droids podcast, and Gruesome Magazine. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Great.
And, yes. And I want to thank Vanessa and Christopher for joining me yet again. And Jeff, thank you for joining us as a special guest host.
Thanks for the invite. I was hoping to see Dave and Crystal here too, but
I know.
tied up.
Yeah, things happen.
Life, you know.
Life is weird. 2021 is still kind of pulling at the shirt tails of 2020.
it's or as someone said, it's the Zack Snyder cut of 2020.
Oh my God.
Oh, man. As
all
long as
right.
it's better, I guess.
Oh, let's hope. All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.